Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson here from ZeldaDungeon.net, and you're watching my video walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS. This is the third dungeon of the game, the Temple of Courage, and as soon as you enter, run to the north, and you'll see a new obstacle here called a Spiked Roller, which is a very original name. You want to hide off to the right so that you can get past it, and then go north a little bit. There's another Spiked Roller here, and just past that there is a funny-looking wall to the north that can be bombed. You'll see that the floor there looks a little odd as well. I actually picked up my bomb again because the Spiked Roller was going to push it over to the left, and it would have been right next to me, and then I would have exploded. So I picked it up so I could throw it back down again in a moment. Anyway, go ahead and open the treasure chest to get some treasure, and then head to the south. We have another new obstacle enemy thing here called a blade trap, and these have been seen in a lot of different Zelda games, but they activate as soon as you get close to them. So you want to activate it and then run past it, so that when it's coming back to its original position, it goes slower. So you activate it to get it to quickly come towards you, you dodge out of the way, then you can go past it. Go ahead and step on the floor switch to make a shortcut back to the entrance. It's not really that long of a distance, but it will come in handy here later. Go ahead and get the small key, then jump down and head to the north to open the locked door. Alright, so up ahead you'll find yourself locked in a room with another classic Zelda enemy called a Moldorm. Now these guys have been seen in a lot of different games in the Zelda series. These particular ones will automatically come towards you if they see you. And they also will come towards you if you smack their tender backside as well. So what you want to do though is if you're not too close, they'll actually just kind of wander around randomly. So the best way to defeat them is to actually just kind of hang back. And then once you see them kind of wandering around and you get a good opening, then run in and hit their caboose, basically. And once you do that, then you should be able to get several hits in a row, because once you smack them, they do kind of become vulnerable for a moment. They're stunned for a little bit. So you can get several hits in, and you can easily defeat them in just a few hits. So it's really, really easy. Now go downstairs once you've unlocked that and use the moving platform to get over, and you'll see another classic Zelda enemy here. They don't actually get knocked back with your shield, which this is one of the only enemies that doesn't do that. Instead, you want to hit them with your sword or use the boomerang. And actually, again, you can just hold down the item button and just tap on the screen to make the boomerang go out really quickly, and so you can knock them off the edge, and that's how you defeat them. You can just technically walk past it and ignore it. I do want to point out the treasure chest here that's on the platform to the north. We can't actually do anything with that at the moment, but that will become available here shortly. Go ahead and hit the crystal orb with the boomerang to switch the colored blocks, which we're going to use in a moment, and go down the stairs. Or up the stairs, I should say. And here we have a couple slimes to deal with. You don't actually have to deal with them, you can run past them, but chances are they will smack you. And I do just want to point out, you can actually attack slimes with the boomerang. When we first saw slimes in the previous dungeons, we actually didn't have access to the boomerang. So now that we do, though, we can actually fight them with it. Up ahead, we have some stone tablets, one of which gives you a hint on how to defeat an upcoming enemy, which will be very important here in just a little bit. The other stone tablet has a clue on the secret order of the dungeon. Now, this is used for a lot of different puzzles, so if there is some kind of order you have to do things in and they don't explicitly tell you, it's this order for this dungeon, for everything. So I do recommend that you write it down on your map. You don't have to if you can remember the order. It's not that lengthy of a sequence or whatever, but if you just write it down on one floor, that's all you really need. You can just check it out real quick to remind yourself. But if you're feeling really ambitious, you can technically write it on all of the different thingies as well. Now go ahead and use your bombs to blow up the cracked blocks off to the right, but there's also a wall to the north that is very suspicious. It looks a little different, and the floor right in front of it looks a little odd too. Go ahead and blow that up, head inside, and you'll find a power gem. Sweet! And there's also a map on the wall that has a secret path to get through this next area that we're about to head to. So go ahead and write that down on your map as well. So if you use either down on the D-pad or the A button, switch it to the basement instead, and you can draw the path through here as well. And as long as we're doing this, though, I am going to draw a path to that chest. Actually, there is another little area right here that they don't explicitly tell you, but that's how you get to that. Alright, after that, continue on to the right, and there is some green choo-choos here, which isn't really a big deal. There's this upper platform that has a stone tablet that talks about crystals that are various shapes, and that you need to put them in pedestals that are similarly shaped. So just make note of the fact that there's that blue pedestal there to the right that has a square shape, so we need to bring a square crystal there later. Continue on to the south. Once you get to this raised platform, there is another new enemy that is also a classic Zelda enemy called a Pulse Voice, and they are vulnerable to sound. This is the enemy with big ears that was referenced in that previous stone tablet that we saw, so yell into your microphone or just blow into it. That'll accomplish the same thing. This will make it vulnerable. Defeat it with your sword to get a small key. Continue on to the south, step on this floor switch there to make a shortcut, and then continue on to the north to get to the locked door. So, quick trivia for you. Pulse Voice have been in the Zelda series since the very first Zelda game for the original Nintendo Entertainment System, as well as the Famicom in Japan, which is the Japanese Nintendo Entertainment System, by the way, and the NES was the international release. So for the Famicom in Japan, you could actually, the controllers had a little microphone in the corner, and so you could actually yell into your microphone to defeat Pole's voice in the original Legend of Zelda. And this was years ago. In fact, the original Legend of Zelda was released in Japan many years before the international release actually ever came out. I just think it's really cool that there's just this really obscure little piece of information. A lot of people didn't know about that. That feature did not cross over for the NES release of The Legend of Zelda. But that was really cool. So when I got to this point in the game, I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, they finally did it! Or like, I was like, yes, I get to do this thing that I've always heard about. So I thought that was so cool. So for this room, what you have to do is you have to pull all these levers in the correct order. And so what I did is I wrote down the order of the dungeon that I mentioned earlier on one floor down. So I went to my map, went to the, or I guess floor 1. Right now we're in basement 1, I think. Or no, we're on floor 2. Yeah, went to floor 1 to go check out the note that I wrote, and then it was up, down, right, left. So I'm pulling all the levers in that order. I was avoiding all the BMOs, which is another classic Zelda enemy. This dungeon, honestly, is just so, like, retro, or, like, so, like a nod to all these previous Zelda things, like a refurbished version of them. I think it's really sweet, though. It's cool. Once you've unlocked all of them, I just kind of, like, skipped past some of those BMOs there at the end, because I was like, whatever, there's recovery hearts right here. So once you have pulled all the levers in the correct order, this will make a chest appear in the center of the room that has a square crystal inside. So take it down one floor and put it in that square pedestal that we saw earlier, just like the tablet told us to. This will open up a door to the north, which leads to another set of stairs that takes us to the basement. This Gossip Stone is a little misleading. Now, most of them are actually talking about chests, so you might have gotten to this point and been like, well, I'm not doing that because I already don't care about that. I'm trying to figure out how to progress. But this one's actually giving you a tip on what to do next. It mentions that there's a bombable wall one floor up, which I already did, and I found that secret map that shows the hidden path through the invisible path that's through these pillars. Now you can, through process of elimination, just figure it out just by walking off into the abyss, but you probably don't have enough health for all that. Anyways, work your way past the shell blade here and continue along the secret path. There is actually another hidden path that they don't talk about, but it leads straight south from here that leads to the chest that has 100 rubies in it. That was not on the secret map, but the rest of it is. Anyways, continue on, kill the other shell beast if you want, or sneak past it. Again, it's sort of sad that you can't just bonk into them with your shield like most enemies. It's kind of weird. It's the only enemy that doesn't do that. Continue on to the left, you'll get a chest that has the bow and arrow in it. Oh yeah, just so you know, bows can defeat just about any enemy that requires your sword. So if any enemy is vulnerable to your sword, they typically will also be vulnerable to bow and arrow. Only a few enemies in the game are specifically only vulnerable to the bow. There's only a couple of them that do that. And this one up ahead being one of them. So Moldorms can be killed with arrows, which there isn't any particular reason for that. They just do that because it's the dungeon enemy for this particular dungeon. Anyways, if you hang back, just wait till their vulnerable backside is shown, and you can defeat them in one hit with the bow. Hit this arrow orb until it's facing to the right, and then shoot an arrow into it to change the block color. This will allow you to progress right here, one floor up, and then there's more Moldorms. Again, just hang back, and you can shoot them in their tender backside when their back is turned with one single arrow, so that's really handy. And there is another one of these pedestals, but it requires a square crystal. Now, there is only one square crystal in every dungeon, or like, if there is different crystals, there's one of each shape. So this one is also square, so you're going to have to go bring the square crystal over to this doorway. Or over to this pedestal. So go ahead and continue on to the right, shoot the eye switch to lower this door, go get the square crystal, bring it back to the other pedestal. So this will raise the door over here to the north, but we don't need to go through there anymore anyway. So bring the square crystal to the south and put it in that pedestal off to the far bottom left, and then that will unlock the next doorway so we can progress in the dungeon. So this room, they're totally wanting you to use the bow and all these Octoroks. I actually like running forward and trying to kill them with my sword and see if I can do it without getting hit. It's actually not as hard as it looks, but I just find it kind of challenging. I just think it's kind of fun. But anyways, you do have to kill the ones to the far south with arrows because you can't reach them otherwise. If you just stun them with your boomerang, it doesn't actually do anything. Like, they get stunned, but then they just come right back to life and start shooting to the north again. Once you defeated them all, it will make a bridge appear that allows you to progress onward. Ugh, I hate this next puzzle. So you step on these platforms, and our goal is to work our way to the right, and also there is a power gem we can get here. But these platforms, like normally when you're on solid ground, if you just walk towards an edge, Link kind of walks into it, but if you run at it, then he'll jump off it. Now these moving platforms don't work the same way. You barely touch the edge and he'll just run off it. There is no like hesitation or whatever. It doesn't stop you. It's not like there's an invisible wall if you're just moving a little bit. But what that also means is if enemies barely touch you, you touch the edge at all, you'll fall off. So right there, I was trying to walk to the right, and the keys bonked into my shield, which knocked me down, which is really sad. Anyways, the best place to do this, though, is right in the middle. So if you stand on this middle platform, you can kill the keys as well as hit both of these eye switches. Once you've shot both of the eye switches with arrows, this will make a chest appear to the north, which has a power gem, which is sweet. After that, just continue working your way right. Alright, some blade traps here, just avoid them, continue on to the right. Now here what we need to do is we need to blow up this cracked block, and then we need to push this other block south. Now, our goal is to get us separated from the blade trap, but we need it to be off to the far right, because you have to be able to push the block. You can't push or pull it from the right side, so you're going to have to do it from the left side. So you want to make sure that you don't trap the blade trap on the left, because then you wouldn't be able to push it. So you need to wait until it's to the right, push the block down, then work your way around and avoid the BMOS, obviously, and then trap the blade trap to the far right. Then open the chest to get a random treasure, and then continue on down the stairs. I was a little too excited about Pole's voice earlier, so I didn't talk about this before, but here we have another enemy called a Winder. We actually already saw these a couple floors back, but I just didn't have time to talk about it. They're invulnerable, you can't do anything with them, they'll electrocute you if you touch them, but they just wander around the sides of the walls, so you just wait for them to pass. Continue on to the left, step on the floor switch to make a shortcut back to the beginning, go down the stairs, and step on the platform. Here you gotta wait for a lengthy amount of time to go off to the far right, and then from here you want to light all these torches. Now you're gonna have to use the boomerang. I like to light as many torches as I can before I ever continue onward, but once you have them lit, you want to continue on and get on the platform and then light the remaining torches. Hopefully you can get them lit before you get to the far side, otherwise you have to wait for a whole nother rotation of the platform, or for a whole other cycle of it going back and forth. Alright, so we have some shell beasts to defeat here, and after that you'll notice that there are some red blocks in our path. Now, in order to lower those, we need to hit one of those crystal switches. Now, there's one on this floor. If you remember back when we got the bow, right after that we hit an arrow orb with an arrow, which made it hit a crystal orb there in the middle. So what we want to do is take this arrow orb, which is suspiciously here, and you want to rotate it to the left using the boomerang, and then shoot it with an arrow. This will make it hit the crystal switch, which lowers the blocks. Sweet! Now if you go to the north, you'll notice something strange, and I'll show that here in a little bit, but rotate this arrow orb until it's pointing to the north, then shoot it with an arrow to make it hit all these other arrow orbs, which then hits into the eye switch, which creates a chest containing a wisdom gem. So do that, and if you head to the north, I'm going to just show this on the far left real quick, what I was talking about. If you look at this eye switch, and you can even use like the bow or the boomerang to like make your vision look a little bit farther to the left so you can actually see those arrow orbs, and you can just kind of follow them backwards, and that's how you figure that out, by the way. So one floor up, we see another Pole's voice. Go ahead and blow into your microphone to make it vulnerable, defeat it to get a small key, and then use that to go up the next set of stairs. Alright, so that Gossip Stone gave us a clue on what to do next. You want to stand on this platform and it starts glowing, and then you want to draw a path on the map. And the block will actually float in the path that you draw, which is really sweet. And you can just redraw the path however much you want. So our goal is to hit the eye switches that are on the south side of all of these pillars. So this is a little bit weird, so you have to actually draw the path so it's a little bit south of the pillar so you can hit the eye switch that is on the south side. And it's not really super practical to try and do this all in one swipe, so you're better off just like erasing your path and making a new one. Here I was trying to kind of salvage some of this path that I already had, but I accidentally erased too much of it, so I had to redraw it. And again, the order of events for this is actually the same order as the rest of the dungeon. So again, if you look back at your notes, in my case, I have that on floor 1. I looked at it. It is up, down, right, left. And that is the order that you want to activate the eye switches in. So once you have successfully activated all of the eye switches, this will create a chest in the far top right. Go ahead and go over there, open it to get the boss key, then take it all the way at the far bottom left. This is kind of tedious and it takes a while, but it is cool though. I kind of wish that there was more puzzles like this. This is the only room in the entire game that lets you do this, where you can draw a path on there with this platform, but I wish we had more things like this. This would be super sweet to just work your way through the dungeon, or like have this be a main feature in the middle of a dungeon. You use it to access most of the areas somehow, or I don't know. I think it'd be cool. So as usual, before each boss room, there is this little prep area that has goodies in it, and if you talk to the stone tablet, you can make a blue portal that allows you to quickly teleport back and forth from the entrance. This way you can go back and get potions if you need to. But if you look at your map, you'll notice that there's a little teeny room up there, so head up there, you'll see a cracked wall. Oh my, look at that. So go ahead and blow that up and get the chest, which has a courage gem. This is the only boss prep area that has something special in it, and if you miss this, you can come back here. Hopefully you talk with the tablet so you have a shortcut, but you can work your way through the dungeon, though. It's just tedious if you have to do it otherwise. But there is a lot of, like, doorways and stuff that are shortcuts in this dungeon. Anyway, when you're ready, we just want to make sure you're full on arrows, then head on up the stairs to confront the boss. Alright, so here we have the boss of the third dungeon of the game, Crayk, the Bane of Courage. Apparently the antithesis of courage is hermit crabs, because why not? So as the battle begins, Crayk goes invisible and he chases after you. Now this is the part that people really struggle with, but you just run away is my first recommendation, first of all, and then just start aiming around. Now these Crayklings might get in your way, so I shot a couple of them just to keep them away from me. But once you start seeing Crayk see you on the top screen, you can see from his perspective for some reason, you want to go ahead and aim sort of towards him, just kind of rotate left and right until you've kind of aimed up. And I shot an arrow and it wasn't quite right, so I aimed just a little bit more to the left and shot again, and it was perfect. So even if you miss, like, I wouldn't worry about it too much. You just kind of see, like, based on the perspective on the top screen, which direction you need to go. Maybe it's a little bit weird just because it's not, like, the same left and right as what it is on your bottom screen. Maybe that's why it's confusing. I don't know. Anyways, so again, he goes invisible, so here's my recommendation. Run away, and then just aim the bow back the direction you came. And this works, like, seriously, like, 75% of the time at least. So you just run away from him. And at this point, though, too, if you ever run out of arrows, you can just kill Crayklings for a while, and you'll get arrows from them often. Not every single one of them. They'll also drop hearts, so this battle can be really drawn out and stuff like that. If you're taking a long time, like, don't worry about it too much. You can honestly just run away from him, and you'll get all your stuff back. So again, he goes invisible, aim towards him, shoot him with an arrow, and you just kind of line up really well. If you're really far away from him, it's actually super easy to aim for a long time. So you can just hide on the exact opposite side. And the purple things on his shell, you can smack them with your sword, but you can also shoot them with arrows. So if you have more than enough arrows, you can actually hang back and just, like, aim carefully and just shoot them, boom, 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 and you can take out, like, 3 or 4 of them all in one swipe, like, super fast. So here, for example, he's to the far south. It's pretty obvious where he's coming from, so I just, again, ran away from him, and then just aim in the direction I think he is. And if you're, like, unsure, you're like, I don't know if I can do this, man, then just seriously just run away again. You don't have to, like, do it every single time. And he'll just wander around the arena for a while. So once you've damaged the outside shell enough, then he'll move on to the second phase, and all you gotta do is smack him in the face and then hit him from behind. Now I'm trying to draw this out a little bit to talk about it, because this phase gets done really fast. But you do also kind of want to get it far enough away from him. Apparently if you're too close to him, he will grab to you, so that's interesting to know. I've always just, I don't know, I've usually killed him really fast, use a couple spin attacks and stuff. I'm trying to draw this out on purpose, but it ended up taking a little bit too long. There's also an interesting thing to know is just stabbing him, apparently, I was just tapping on him, and I'm hitting his shell a lot, so it might be better to use, like, side swipes, or something like that. So, like, if, like in this example right here, do it from the top down. Anyways, that might work better. So yeah, I will say that, like, for the first phase of Crayk, that's the thing that most people struggle with, and I've heard of people even just, like, putting down Phantom Hourglass, or like, I can't even handle this, like, and they're just done, and then they just won't play it anymore. And I just think it's really sad, because this is an awesome game, and they're just really frustrated with this boss, because they can't figure out how to get past it. So that's my big recommendation, is run away and then just aim back the direction you came. And honestly, like, if you're really not sure, or you find the whole aiming thing stressful, just aim back in the direction you came from, and then just kind of do, like, a sweep from left to right. Just be like, do with arrows, and you'll hit him. Like, I don't know, like, it's not a big deal. If you waste, like, 8 arrows, so what? Then you just wait. The next time he's invisible, you just run around, kill Crayklings, and as soon as you see him on the screen, you just run away to the opposite side of the arena. That's all you do. You just circle around clockwise or counterclockwise around the arena and just keep getting arrows. And then at some point, you can just turn around and just, like, pelt him like an Uzi. And the deal with that is you don't just aim in one direction, you kind of just swerve around, and so you keep aiming left and right, and then that way you'll guarantee to hit him at some point. so something's really weird with the Spirit of Courage, but we'll figure out what's going on with that in the next video. So if you have, for some reason, you forgot to get the heart container and you managed to walk past it, you can always come back to the boss room, go back to the blue portal, and it'll take you back here so you can collect that. So don't worry about it if you missed it, you still have a chance. So that's the end of this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, then be sure to like the video and then subscribe both to Zelda Dungeon as well as myself. And there's links in the description to all of our various socials so you can follow us on all those. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.